Do we look at you or the camera?
Just be yourself. Yeah. So we're backstage at Sobe with Sonny Anderson. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little hot. I'm not used to this.
I know. What do you think of this weather?
It's beautiful. And I was watching the weather report this morning, and all of the weathercasters, they know that everyone's down here for the Wine and Food Festival, and so they're giving the out-of-town weather report and the in-town weather report. Like, for the natives, it's going to be cold today, but for the people from out of town, it's going to be very hot.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's so good. So tell us, Sonny, when did you start cooking?
As soon as I left home.
Was it?
Yeah, at 18, and I was on my own. I was in the military, and they shipped me overseas to Seoul, South Korea, and I was stuck. I thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? I'm away from mommy and daddy. No one's here to make my meals, and the mess hall is just not cutting it. So I spent that year on the phone with my mom, hours and hours. It was the hardest phone bill to pay off when I got back from Korea. Just getting all the recipes and tips, and how do I make this, and where is this in the grocery store? So it was almost like I had culinary training in a crash course of a year overseas. So I started cooking right when I left.
I'm going to mention a few words. Psychologist, what happens with psychologists, they'll play the word game. They'll mention words and they say the first thing that comes to mind. So we'll do that with words, what I say, hopefully with food. So, spring.
Salads.
Salads, yeah, it's good. Cozy.
Cheese. Melted.
Yeah, it's good. Family recipe.
Red velvet cake.
Red velvet cake.
Yeah.
Summer.
Second summer. Grilling.
Grilling.
Lots of grilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Childhood.
This is hard. One word. So I'm not really good at one word.
Childhood is a recipe, what you remember, something you remember.
Oh, childhood exploration of all types of food. All types of food.
What was there? Is there any family recipes, or is there any childhood foods you loved as a child?
Definitely. There is something in South Carolina. What is it called? Hash. But it's not hash browns. Only people in South Carolina know exactly what you're talking about. It is the ends, the parts, the pieces, all ground down from a pig into a lovely gravy and sauce, and they pour it over rice, and they serve it with a couple of pieces of Wonder Bread. It is just the best thing, and it is so hard to get these days now because some of the cuts are not really sanitary, and the butchers don't really like to sell them. But man, if you could get to South Carolina and one of those backwoods little towns and get you some hash, you are on it. That is good eating that I wish I could have regularly, and I really miss from my childhood.
When you think about winter, what foods do you think of?
Well, I think about roasting squash in the oven and lots of stewed chickens and oxtails and braising of meat in the oven and meatloaves, and then the crazy heavy desserts. Like in the summertime, it's fruit and yogurt. I had fruit and yogurt this morning. But in the wintertime, man, it is all about that heavy chocolate decadent cake, or like I said, the red velvet cake. Just really bad food. I eat very bad.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not a good eater. I'm not a very healthy eater.
No, that doesn't matter. How's life changed for you since you've been working on Food Network? Has it changed, or...?
Well, it hasn't changed much because, before I was doing Food Network, I was in broadcasting for radio.
Yeah.
So I knew some of the things that came with it, keeping up with the Joneses, always indulging in food and, learning new things about it, and getting into the trade magazines and reading about food and just cooking my tail off. And when I was in radio, it was just like that, but it was overindulgence in music. So I knew kind of the territory with food, but what has changed is my schedule. It's almost like I'm a slave to it. It's not my own. I can't make my own schedule anymore, So that's pretty neat, because before of knew what your schedule was. You worked with it. You could schedule things around it. Now, someone else is telling me, this is what you're going to do today. I kind of like it. Yeah, I love it. I think it's because I grew up in the military, so I like people telling me what to do.
Any tips for people? The economy's gone awry. Any good frugal tips for people when cooking?
Oh, definitely. I think the key to really maximizing the dollar is making sure that you have a very good pantry with the staples. You know, pantry items to me are very inexpensive, but they can make one protein taste like you went to a super crazy restaurant and had a beautiful meal. You know, the things like your canned tomatoes that are great out of season, like, you know, now you can get a great, you know, can of tomatoes and it tastes nice and fresh because they can them fresh right when they're in season. So things like having your good vegetables in cans and your pastas and your rices, just really take care of your pantry. And pantry items to me are very inexpensive. You can kind of buy one at a time and you go to the grocery store and you just kind of build it up. Because I do find, you know, even before I was on Food Network, there were some tough times, you know, and I loved it when I was able to go to the grocery store and just buy a $5 piece of steak, you know, cook it right, chop it up right to make it spread out over some orzo or something like that. But the cool thing was, I had the orzo at home, or I had some pasta at home, and I had some canned tomatoes, and you can kind of make it work. So to me, I really think that just taking care of your pantry, so every time you get that hankering for something new or you want to cook for your family, you don't have to go buy every single thing. You know what I mean? Just kind of slowly ramp it up. And I like store brands. Store brands are good. Do store brands. You know.
If you was going off to survive it and you had to take that recipe or you had to cook for everybody and it was to win that $1 million, what would one of your recipes be?
Recipe, I would honestly have to say my fried chicken, because I don't want to brag, but you just can't beat it. You just can't. I have spent years and years of fried chicken research. I will have a good piece and dissect it and then tweak my own recipe. So I have gotten it down to the point where every time I make someone fried chicken, they want to know how I got it that way. How is the chicken so juicy? I brine it. Why is it so sweet? Well, I brine it and then I soak it in apple cider. So why is it so crunchy? Well, it's not just flour, it's flour and cornstarch. Why is it so flavorful and spicy? Because I season the wash instead of seasoning the dredge. So there's just so many things that I'm so proud about my fried chicken. I think that if I were going to try and win $1 million, hands down, no one can beat me on that. No one. Except for the Colonel, or maybe Popeyes.
True.
So if the Colonels or Mr. Popeyes is showing up for that $1 million, I might have to pull something else out of my pocket, like the mac and cheese. I don't know.
I love it. I think they've earned $1 million, so whatever. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Would you do? Could you say, I'm Sonny Anderson, you're watching Relish TV?
Relish TV?
Relish TV.
Yes. Hi there, I'm Sonny Anderson from Food Network's Cooking for Real, and you're watching Relish TV.
One more time.
Hey, I'm Sonny Anderson from Food Network's Cooking for Real, and you're watching Relish TV.